Welcome to Study Loop.
This figure shows the effect of the minimum wage. In the absence of the minimum wage, the market wage would be W1 and Q1 workers would be employed. With the minimum wage WM imposed above W1, the market wage is WM and the number of employed workers is Q2. Q3 is the number of workers that are willing to be employed at this minimum wage, but they can't. Therefore, we have unemployment. Which is the difference between Q3 and Q2. Total wage payments to workers are shown as the area of rectangle ABCD. So this is A, B, C, and D. And this area equals Wm times Q2. That is part A of the question. For part B and C actually assume there is an increase in the minimum wage. We can draw another line. Let's say Wm prime is the new minimum wage. Now the number of workers would be employed are Q2 prime, and the number of workers that are willing to work is Q3 prime. You can see that the difference between these two quantities increase. So the new level of unemployment is Q3 prime minus Q2 prime. That is greater than the initial unemployment when we first imposed the minimum wage. The size of the effect of a higher minimum wage on employment depends only on the elasticity of demand. The elasticity of supply does not matter because there is a surplus of labor. Let me write down for part B. Employment decreased. For part C, unemployment increased. The size of the rise in unemployment depends on both the elasticities of supply and demand. The elasticity of demand determines the change in the quantity of labor demanded, and the elasticity of supply determines the change in the quantity of labor supplied. The difference between the quantities supplied and demanded of labor is the amount of unemployed. For part D, we can illustrate this part with a case of elastic demand and a case of inelastic demand. Inelastic demand curve has a greater slope or it is steeper than an inelastic demand. And here I will show the increase from a initial equilibrium wage to a minimum wage. I should show two minimum wage levels, but it will make the graphs crowded, so it will be harder to see. The ideas behind is the same. So with inelastic demand, the percentage decline in employment is this distance. Okay, this is a decline in unemployment. For inelastic demand, this decline would be lower than the percentage increase in the wage. And the percentage increase in the wage can be represented by this vertical distance. So total wage payment increased. We are comparing initial wage payment, which is this area, to this new total wage payment, this area. So initial wage payment is A, E, Q, O. And after wage payment, we have A prime comes from here, E prime, Q prime, and O. Alright, so that are the two areas we are comparing. We only need to look at the change in the relative change in their dimensions, the width and the height. So yeah, we have the increase in height is greater than the expansion in the width. So the new area would be greater than the older area, meaning wage payment increase. We can show the same thing with the case of elastic demand. We are comparing this area. This is the after wage payment area. And this is the initial wage payment. Now we see that the change in labor employed is greater than the change in wage. So wage increased by a little than the decrease in labor employed. That means total wage payment would decrease.